Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Anna and I'm the owner and creator here at All Things All Happy. And today we're going to be working on a simple glitter tumbler, and we're also going to be incorporating some rhinestones onto it. It's going to be fun and easy. So grab those rhinestones and join me as we get this tumbler started. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a stainless steel tumbler and we're just going to sand it down. We just want to scuff it up before we spray paint it. Definitely want to prep your tumblers before you use them. Nothing like finishing it up and then at the very end you can actually peel the entire vinyl and epoxy right off your tumbler if it's not prepped correctly. All right, once our tumbler is nice and prepped, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray it with, what is this, Rust-Oleum Candy Pink. Just want to make sure it's nice and, that ball in there is nice and loose. So we're just going to go ahead and just do light strokes all around. I'm going to coat it evenly all around. And once the tumbler is nicely coated, we're just going to leave it out here and we're just going to let it dry for a bit. Okay, our spray paint is now dry. I let it sit overnight. I'm just going to go ahead and begin to Mod Podge it. Just want to get an even coat all over. Okay, once we have that even, we're just going to sprinkle on the glitter. I'm just going to tap the excess off. And then I'm just going to let this sit for a bit and let it dry. And then I'm going to go in with the second coat. So our first coat is dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush off any of the excess glitter. And then I'm just going to go ahead and reapply the Mod Podge. You want nice even coats. And then we're just going to sprinkle on the glitter. Get nice and coated. All right. Just going to tap any excess off, and then we're just going to let this sit and dry. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix up 25 milliliters of the epoxy resin, doing 12.5 of A and 12.5 of B, and I'm using the Amazing Quick Coat from Illuminite. All right, now we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to start pouring. I like to use small amounts. I just want to get that all the way around, nice and even. Just a nice thin coat. Once you have the resin equally distributed, we're just going to add a little bit of heat just to pop any bubbles that may come to the surface. And we're just going to let that spin for a few hours and then we'll come back and check. Now that the tumbler is dry, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my second coat of epoxy on. So this time I'm using 30 mLs. I did 15 part A and 15 part B. And I'm using the Flynn Sister Supply Artist Cure resin. I'm just going to go ahead and begin pouring. I haven't decided if I am going to put the vinyl underneath the epoxy or if I'm going to put the vinyl above the epoxy. Since I am going to rhinestone it, I haven't decided yet. All right, once you're done, I'm just going to hit it with some heat. I'm just going to let this roll around for about 7 to 8 hours. Now that my tumbler is dry, I'm just going to begin taking off any extra epoxy at the top of the rim of the tumbler. You just want to remove that epoxy because you do want just a really thin layer of the stainless steel to show at the top of the tumbler. So right up here, you just want a little bit of the stainless steel to show, because that's where the epoxy is going to end. And so it has a strong grip onto the stainless steel. Then we're just gonna sand the top and the bottom just until it's smooth. So when we do our final coat of epoxy, it'll be nice and smooth. All right, now that the tumbler is nice and sanded, I do have that really fine edge right up here of stainless steel all the way around. All right, once your tumbler is nice and sanded, we're just gonna go ahead and we're just gonna clean it with some rubbing alcohol. So I get off any type of dust. And then what I did was I used a measuring tape to measure how big I want. So I'm gonna put a name on here. So I went to measure how large I wanted the image to be. So I did 6 inches by 2.5. And I went ahead and I printed it out on Cricut. I'm just gonna apply this image to the tumbler. So I use glitter vinyl, and glitter vinyl is really hard to attach to transfer paper. And this is the strong grip, so I really did not want to push too hard. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give it some force. Okay, and I'm just gonna look for my smoothest surface. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Otherwise it will show underneath the vinyl. I'm just going to center this onto the tumbler. You definitely want to push it down. Want to make sure it's nice and firm. We're going to go ahead and remove the transfer tape. You want to do it slowly because you do not want to rip up any of the vinyl. I'm going to go ahead and add some Quick Coat by CCDIY. And this just ensures that the vinyl stays flat, and when I pour the epoxy over it, it doesn't get underneath it and lift. And when applying the sealer, you just want to make sure you're brushing in all directions. Right to left and top to bottom. A little goes a long way. And when choosing a font, keep in mind the size, because we are going to rhinestone this. So if the font style was a little thicker, then you may have to use the larger rhinestones, maybe doubled up depending on how thick the letters are. So you do want to keep that in mind when choosing your font. All right, that's it. Now we're just gonna let this sit and dry. All right, guys, so after I sealed this and had it sitting here for a while, it's totally bothering me that it's kind of tilted. The name kind of angles down to the right. And because we're gonna rhinestone it, we're definitely gonna notice it. If we were just going to put epoxy on it, it wouldn't be too noticeable. But because we're gonna put rhinestones, we're gonna see the name angled off. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to sand it down because I do have the sealer on it. And so I'm gonna have to sand it nice and even. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm going to remove the name from the tumbler. Now that I removed the sticker, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna sand it. You wanna get that sealer off. And you can probably see as I'm sanding it, it's actually raised. You want to get that nice and flat. So I did use a thicker grit. of a sanding block. You don't want to push too hard because you really don't want to get underneath the epoxy because you can scratch the glitter. So once I am done sanding that, I'm just going to wipe it down with the alcohol again. Get off any loose dust that we just buffed off here. That's done. I'm just going to wipe down my area here. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a metal ruler. It's like an L-shaped. And I'm going to put one side directly down onto my table. And I'm just going to hold it and mark my straight line with a pencil. All right, so now that I have my line across, just gonna go ahead and put my vinyl on. I did use a different type of vinyl because I didn't have any more of the glitter one. All right, and we're just gonna push that down. And you just want to slowly peel it off because you do not want to tear it. All right, just going to dab the pencil with just a little bit of rubbing alcohol to remove it. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead with some CCDIY's Quick Coat. This is the sealer that I use. Just going to let this dry. Make sure you put your brush in some hot water because it will destroy it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure 40 mLs. I'm going to do 20 of part A and 20 of part B using the Flynn Sister Supply Artist Cure. All right, and I'm just going to begin pouring small amounts. Once we're done pouring the epoxy, just going to give it some heat to pop any bubbles that come to the surface. All right, and we're just gonna let this spin around for about 7 to 8 hours. All right, so I did do another layer of the epoxy on here, so I'm happy with it. And what I have here are my rhinestones, and I have a bunch of sizes. And I'm actually going to do this in the crystal color. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna kind of measure and see what size do I need. Do I need the SS20 or the SS16? And those are just the different sizes that they come in. All right, so I'm just gonna take some SS20 and I just wanna see if it is too big or too small. All right, so that's my SS20. And then I'm going to do my SS16. Just to kind of get an idea of what size I'm looking to do. I'm thinking that I am just going to do the SS16 size on all of the lines here, and then as we get to the smaller lines, I'll do the SS12s. So the SS are different numbers, so they're different sizes of stones. I do sell these. I do have the SS20s, the SS16s, and the SS12s. And then I also sell the packs like this, which is pretty cool because it contains the SS4s, 5, 6, 8, 10, and 12. So it has 6 different sizes. So it's pretty cool. And all these go to match like the SS20s, which is a larger stone. So if you have a bigger project with a larger surface, you can use the SS20. So let me show you. So this here, these are SS20 stones. So because it was such a large area, I decided to do the SS20. If I did the smaller stone, the smaller in stone that you use, the more that you're going to need. So I did since it was a larger surface, I did the SS20s. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just going to scuff up just a little bit of the lines that I'm going to be putting the stones on. So I'm just going to scuff up the area that I'm going to put the stones on. Don't want to go crazy. Just needs a little scuff, nothing crazy. I'm just going to take some rubbing alcohol just to clean that off. All right, so what I'm going to use is GemTac Glue. I do put it inside these little bottles, so it's GemTac. I do sell like small bottles of those. I have all this stuff, so if you guys need any of this. All right. So I like using this little dotter. I like using this because it has a precision tip on it. And you don't want to add too much because you don't want glue everywhere. But that's how we're going to do it. Okay? And I'm just going to start with the larger lines, so the fatter lines. I'm going to do those with this SS16. And then I will go to the next size when I'm done with the SS16. So this is a wax pencil. It's a pretty cool tool because it helps pick up the stones. And these are glass rhinestones. I'm not sure if I said that, but these are the glass rhinestones that I'm using. You can use anything. You can use resin, you can use glass. Definitely want to make sure that they are nice and even. So you always want to go back and make sure you check because they do move until they're dry. So it will move. So you definitely want to make sure they stay in the place where you put them. They do dry pretty quick. Like this portion is already dry. But you just want to make sure that they are the way you want them to be. And these are shaker trays. And they help hold the rhinestones. And they help flip them for when you need to pick them up. You want to make sure you use enough glue, but not too much. After the rhinestones have set, so after the glue's cured, so about 5 days, you can go ahead and wash it, scrub this, and it'll take off any of the excess glue that's lying around the stone. It will wash it right off. In this section here, I just sped up the video so that you can see me placing the stones quicker and how I'm fixing them. If you are making these to sell them, I would definitely recommend giving the customer just a few extra stones, just in case one does pop off, so that they can fix it themselves. I would definitely recommend doing that. Just a little baggie of like 2 to 3 stones, I guess. I would definitely recommend playing around and seeing what rhinestone fits perfect where before you put your glue down. That way, once you know how you want the rhinestones to lay, then you can go ahead and glue the pieces down. Sometimes you do have like this little area here. It's just a little too much glue, so you can't really see what stone you want to put there. So I would let it dry, because what happens is the glue dries clear, and then you can go back and see if you want to put a larger stone there or if you want to continue with the smaller stones. If you have the same letters like here and here, like you definitely want to keep it consistent with the amount of stones that you use and the sizes. So definitely want to keep that the same, similar. And if you can't finish this all in one day, it's okay to stop and come back and finish it the next day. It doesn't matter. Definitely want to make sure that the stones are pushed up against each other. You don't want any space in between them, but you want to make sure that the stones are flat. In this portion here too, I sped up the video so you can see me placing the stones. And as you can see, the larger stones and how they taper to smaller ones. All right, I am completed. This is done. I'm actually loving it. It's really pretty. I'm just gonna let this dry for a couple of days, and then I'm gonna wash it and see if any of the stones fall off. If they do, I'll reapply it. They really shouldn't though, but you should really wait a couple of days before you wash it so that the stones really stick down. All right, the tumbler is completed. I did wash it. I used a sponge and gently washed the rhinestones. They all stayed on. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. If you have any questions, just note them down below. I do try and get back to everyone. And I will have a list of everything that I used listed below as well. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon. I'm going to be incorporating. It's going to be what? Incorporate some glue.